In this lightning talk, we are going to see why testing is not optional. Kent Beck, the creator or the author of test driven development, said that I'm not a great programmer, but I'm just a good programmer with great habits. Let's see how testing habit can improve you as a great programmer. I have experienced this myself in the last 8.5 years, and I'm going to tell you how testing has changed the way I had been thinking about coding. So brace yourself. There are lots of memes which are going to be coming in. I'll just try to explain what I did in the last few years. So in 2010, I started off my first job. So when I started my first job, all the seniors in the team used to say testing is a big deal, and we used to have a separate testing team. And the testing team would look like something like this. They used to have a very awesome day. They just come in, they just relax, they just test stuff. Everything used to work until the last day when they realize that they need to do the negative testing, and that's when everything goes for a toss. And what happens? We will keep on fixing bugs, right? That is how my first bug got unfolded in a sanity testing, and I was very happy because the testers found the issue and not the customer. Because that is when you realize the importance of fixing bugs, right? Because there is a separate testing team, so you just push in code, you never write unit test. Honestly, there was no unit test. In the first few years of my career, I never wrote unit tests, and I never knew that unit tests existed. And the testing team was the one which used to find out all these bugs, and then we leverage them. Now, over a period of time, I just got bored in just fixing bugs because you used to fix bugs and nothing else. Because you created lots of tech debts over a period of time and then you don't know what you were doing. In 2012, I quit my job in the services industry and I joined an investment bank. In the investment banks, it was completely different that time. There was no time for us to, in fact, think about testing because you have so much of work, you have to just code stuff. So, what happened was my first production release went just like this. We used to test everything in production. So this is how literally things used to work. And on the next production release, this is what my manager asked. So are you ready to take up what you had done in the last release? Because there was so much issues and so many patches which we had to roll out. It was a nightmare. So that's when eventually we thought about changing stuff from not having any automated tests to having automated tests. So over a period of time, I had worked on creating some testing frameworks and I was a part of using those testing frameworks across our projects. And I found out why testing is important and I realized that I cannot write code without any test. Now, if you ask me in 2018, this is what I would say. Just for the fun fact, if you're not doing testing at this point of time, you're missing out lots of stuff and you're going to regret for it. How do we tackle this situation, right? So I follow the principle of testing triangle. Most of the companies or most of the presentations would have this slide. If you're going for any testing related topic, you should know when to test what and what you need to test. This is how a typical testing triangle looks like. You have unit test in the last layer, the integration test and the component test are followed, finally the end-to-end test. So what does this pyramid signify, right? Unit tests are where you have direct one-on-one unit level testing for each class. So basically these check the unit test coverage for every function or something which you write inside a particular class. There are some set of frameworks, for example JUnits, TestNG, Karma, Jasmine, etc. For different um, languages you have different unit test coverages. So unit tests are helpful in order to identify any code changes which you do as a part of your refactoring or maybe bug fixing or etc, right? So that is where the first issue gets unfolded. So if there are 100 classes, you need to have 100 unit tests. Now coming to the integration test or the component test, these are something when you want to test across modules. So unit tests are at the class level, and if let's say there are 2 3 modules and you have like different classes spanning across these modules, that is when you go for integration tests or component tests. So the number of integration tests doesn't need to match the unit test because you don't have to have each and every scenario in an integration test. You need to concentrate the main scenarios which will cover the end-to-end integration of these modules together. So some of the examples are like you can still write integration tests with JUnit test in G comma, and you can use Cucumber in order to leverage some behavior driven tests. API tests are also a part of the integration test because you have like a integration environment where you can test your APIs. And the last one is the end-to-end test. These constitute of the UI test or the end-to-end functional tests. There are lots of frameworks like Cucumber, Selenium, Fitness, Protractor, etc. for different languages. If you follow this particular testing triangle and you know when to use unit tests, when to write unit tests, when to write integration tests, then you are set with respect to testing. And in the current world scenario, all the SDLC life cycles have the testing integrated. This is how a typical, what you call a DevOps pipeline looks like. So when you have a code in place, you need to build it. While building it, you will test it. Once it is tested, you just push it, you release it, you deploy it, you operate it, monitor, and then it just goes back. And all these are done in an automated fashion. So the talk was about testing is not optional, but I would say automated testing is not optional. You still have an option to manually test it, but automated testing is not going to be an option anymore. I hope you guys like this particular talk. If you have any suggestions on any specific topic, do let me know in the comment section below. If you want me to contact in any of the social media, there are links here. Do check that out. You can connect to me there as well. Let's connect in the next lightning talk. Bye bye now.